Welcome to the Narrowboat that James built. Hope you're well. Thanks for joining me. Well, you'll never guess what I've just done. I've just done all of my numbers, my budgets, so I know where I am. So this video is all about how much the boat is going to cost, how much it has cost. Well, let's remind ourselves a little bit about the boat and why I bought her in the first place. Okay, so let's start with the boat itself. So she's a 43-foot Springer, built in 1971, and it's what I really wanted was two main things: hatches, of which this boat's got 3, and a cruiser stern, of which this boat's got a nice big one. That was for me the most important thing. Okay, so I've got my original notes here from the previous budget video, and to save you going back to video 81, I will tell you that I had at that point spent 21,650 quid with a projected spend of 27,350. So yeah, that's what it was up to that point. So I will bring you up to speed with where we are now. And I've used my very handy, oh, get that sorted out, whiteboard. There, can you see that? Right. So, hang on. What do you mean everyone's looking at the bottom of the thing? Well, I can't cover it up. Well, they'll just have to go to the top. Sorry. Right, up here, please. The boat cost £12,000, as I said earlier, right? And I did give my explanation as to why I bought this particular boat, and you know, the other things that were on choice, but at that particular time. And in the last year, from other boats I've seen, both at the wharf and other things, I don't think this was too bad. Again, the hole in the floor was, you know, we're going to park that, even though I do come on to it, we're going to park that for the minute, because, well, that just shouldn't have happened. So we can essentially ignore it for the sake of this. Otherwise, you know, not all boats need a new base plate. So the boat, 12,000 quid. Mooring and hard standing and electric all at North Kilworth, £2,000 over 10 months. I spent £1,000 on surveys and boat safety certificates. So on that, the boat safety certificate has been updated to include everything on the boat as it currently is. And when I get my water boiler, my water heater put in, I will update the BSC again. I've spent 1,000 quid on craneage, other than the craneage that we used for the overplating. So that's just other craneage. So in total, I spent 16,000 quid on kind of the boat and bits at North Kilworth. Stern gland, I mean, this was all done ages ago, but stern gland £1,000, anodes, gear lever, flooring, which was the flooring inside here. Remember, we had to put those the extra bits of angle iron all the way down the side there to take the flooring properly. And the steps in the engine bay, so £2,500 there. In total here, so I think at last count it was 900 quid on timber. Now it's 2,500 is what I've spent. That doesn't include the deck. I spent 1,200 quid on paint, 1,500 quid on tools, obviously most of which I've still got. A few broke. Adhesive. It's not all adhesive. That's adhesive, screws, you know, spray foam, all that kind of stuff. 1,000 quid. So 6,200 there. And then I've broken down all like the component parts here. So bathroom, everything wet system. So the tank, the pumps, the pipe, the shower, the toilet, everything like that. 1,700 quid. Dinette, the main thing is obviously the stove and the fireplace, cushions here, and you know, build fridges and bits and pieces like that. 1,300. The galley. Most importantly is the hobs and the oven with the big bits. The fridge, Graham gave me the fridge, so that would have been 600 quid. So cheers, pal. So yeah, 1,000 quid on the galley, not that bad to be honest. Bedroom is only the cushions, as otherwise it's just timber, which is obviously included up there. The deck, 500 quid. It is what it is. Batteries and cables. This was a bit of a surprise. The amount of spent on cables. So the chunky 70mm cables for the batteries and everything like that. There's a 4.5 metre run from the battery bank just to the electrics cupboard there. So it's, you know, hefty stuff. It's, you know, 25 quid a metre. So 1,200 quid including the batteries and the cables. Cabin electrics, again, so much cabling. Couldn't quite believe how much I went through. I think it's 300 metres in total of black and red. I think there's a few LEDs in the boat. I think most of that 2,100 quid is LEDs, in fairness. Stereo and power is like the power distributions and bits and pieces like that, certainly for the electrics cupboard. So 2,100 quid on that. Solar, the MPPT is about 600 and 200 quid on panels. Well, I spent 300, but I sold another one for 100. So I've only got 2 panels, 100 quid each. So 800 quid in total there. So 9,100 spent there, which brings the total up to £33,800. I've still got to spend another 6 grand. I've got the boiler and the install to do. The pram hood. On the last video, I put £1,000, and I did say at the time I can't bring myself to write the actual figure. The actual figure is £4,000, and dinette cushions another 1,000 quid. So I've got another 6 grand to spend, which brings it up to £39,800. The surveyor valued the boat at 38 grand. There we go. There is a huge caveat to all of this, which I'll explain in a bit. Base plate. Right, I don't know if you can see all this. Hang on, let me bring it up. Right, so lots of people have asked me about the base plate and everything like that. Okay, so the costs are, I raised 12,000 quid, or I had 12,000 quid donated. The costs were steel, 3,000 quid. That had gone up quite a lot. I think it doubled in April, and April had doubled since December. So basically, if I had done this time a year ago, it would have been 1,000 quid or 800 quid for all of the steel. Now it's 3 grand. Same with the timber, in fairness, that's gone up as lot. Right, we spent £1,000 on welding rod, gas and electric. Richard, 4 grand, fair enough. The craneage and the boatyard and Tristan's time, another 1,700. So in total, 9,700. So it's a 2 grand surplus. And there were 4 kind of, if you like, key donors that I was well aware of, and between them they had given well over 2 grand. So I asked the 4 of them if they would be happy for me to use the surplus on other things, which they said yes. So that went towards the batteries, the cables, the gear lever and the decking. So that's where all that's gone. But obviously, yeah, I mean, you know, no one's going to hopefully have to put a new base plate on a boat. So the kind of, as I said, for the cost of the boat, it's 39,800. I guess you could arguably say that I've spent 50 grand on this boat, or £50,000 have been spent on it. But in terms of the cost of the boat, for the budget point of view, it's 40 grand. Important things for me on this project on the budget was for the overall cost of the boat and a year's worth of kind of living on it to be comparable to renting a kind of 1-2 bed flat or whatever in and around London, which is about 25 grand a year, 25 grand a year. So really what I'd kind of, I'd be essentially quids in if I could have a boat for 25 grand and live on it for 2 years. Great, quids in. So that was the kind of the fag packet maths going into it. Okay, I'm just going to wait for you all to stop laughing at the fact I've just spent £40,000 on a 1971 Springer. Right, but this is where it starts to make a bit more sense. So I've spent, I said, 40 grand in year 1. Okay, yes, it's over budget, and that's not even including the overplating. So yes, it's over budget. In year 2 though, so this is year 2, I'll spend projected another 6,000 quid. That's the license, the loan. Obviously I've got a loan on the boat, so I've got 3,600 quid to spend on that. Insurance, bills, and engine servicing or whatever it is every 100 hours. So yeah, £6 in year 2. Bear in mind, for me to have this type of accommodation in bricks and mortar is £25 a year. If I wanted some kind of rather pleasant outlook, right, £25 a year. So 30 quid's in. Year 3, basically as above that, exactly the same kind of costs. Obviously, license might go up, whatever. I'm not in control of that. Year 4, though, I won't have a loan on the boat. So by year 4, again, year 4 though, I'll have to spend some money on blacking. So year 4's bills might be about £5, so not a massive difference. But year 5, if I've still got the boat then, which hopefully I will, year 5, no loan, no blacking, basically the kind of the basic costs of living on the boat, £2 a year, or 1,700, £2 a year, something like that. And at that point, massively quid's in. And this is the kind of the big caveat that I was explaining about earlier. I'm now in year 2. So I've done year 1, and in year 1, I spent 40 grand on the boat. I spent 3,600 quid on the loan. So in total, I spent 43,600 quid, but I haven't spent £24,000 on finding somewhere else to live, because I've lived at North Kilworth on the boat. Therefore, I've saved minus 19,600 quid. And the cumulative saving, obviously in year 1, was that loss. In year 2, though, it starts to swing a little bit closer. So I won't hopefully spend much on the boat, just the servicing, as I explained. Obviously, I have my annual costs, so my license and insurance and things like that. I've still got the loan. I've put down moorings here. I think I'm going to spend some on moorings. I might put it in a marina for a bit of the winter, it might make it nicer for the kids, but I'll see how it goes. But I've budgeted for 2,000 quid a year on moorings. It's certainly not going to be for the whole year, but in London, maybe 4 or 5 months in the bleak winter, I might choose to do that. Who knows? But as I said, I've put it down there anyway, and for the sake of this, I'm going to include it. So the cost of the boat this year that I'm currently in, I reckon it will be 8,100 quid. But I won't spend that £24,000, so I'll save just shy of 16 grand this year, which brings the cumulative saving down to about -4. And then year 3, so next year, again, all things being equal, I'll save another 16 grand, and therefore by the end of that year, I'll be kind of 12 grand up, including the asset of the boat, which hopefully by then, let's say it's worth, I don't know, 35, 40 grand or whatever, then, that's it. Kind of all of a sudden, it works. It's kind of, I wouldn't say it's the world's finest investment, but it's certainly not the worst. The most important thing, as I've always said, is that I just have to keep my costs, my annual costs here, it's kind of as low as they can be. I have lots of children that I need to support, and they come first, so obviously it's not going to them, it's going to their mums. But so I need to save this 24 grand a year on the flat, because that's what I give to them. So this works, which is really relieving. It's great to see. The numbers are important. Everyone's got to live within their means. And hopefully this video, for those of you that have followed the series from the start or whatever, or certainly saw the first budget one and are interested to see, kind of where things are at now, great. For those that are interested in, the overplating and what the costs were of that, hopefully all your questions have been answered. And for those of you that are watching this because you would also like to live on a narrowboat, and are curious as to the costs and what people are in for, hopefully this has been useful and insightful for you too. The overriding thing about living on a narrowboat, yes, the cost and the compromise is a big factor to pay attention to and be mindful of, but it's the lifestyle which is what attracts us to the cut. And to living on these steel tubes, and for that you can't put a price on it. The journey that Will and I had down here, I don't know, for that experience I'd probably pay 10 grand for that. if I had the money. You just can't put a price on any of these, and I've had plenty of amazing experiences since then. The year at the wharf, man, I had like 10 years of condensed learning in 10 months. I lived amongst the most talented, skilled professionals who were just so giving of their information, their knowledge, their time. And that seems to be like the general gist of things up and down the cut. Every single person I've met, I've encountered, I've bumped into, cruised with, has just been lovely, and has just been so, I don't know, interested and interesting, and just the settings that you find yourselves in. You just can't put a price on any of this. And then there's the investment of the boat. The boat, boats have gone up in price quite a lot over the last 3-4 years. The trajectory is for them to continue to go up in price. There's talk that the market's going to flatten out a bit in the beginning of next year when the bubble bursts, possibly, when everyone thinks, oh no, this wasn't for me, and sells up. So there might be quite a few more boats on the market then, but it's steadily over the last decade or so been on the increase. Boat ownership is an all-time high. There's 600,000 boats in the inland waterways in the UK. It's great. I mean, it's congested down here, don't get me wrong, but it's great. It's a really vibrant life. And on these numbers, it's affordable, it's sustainable, and it enables me to do other things like take the kids on holiday, which in fairness, if I had a flat, that would be a pipe dream. To take the kids to Spain for a week is a pipe dream, but now it's not. And I mean, just on a personal level, it means I'm able to provide the insane levels that I need to, because I've got 5 kids living in London. So, I couldn't look myself in the white of the eyes if I had a flat, in fairness, because it'd be robbing them. But for this, they love it. The other thing is, if I had a flat above a chippy or whatever, that's not going to be anything fun for them to come to for the weekend. But this, what a place. They've already been here for the weekend. The girls slept on it at North Kilworth. Okay, we're out the water, but they loved it. The others love it. I mean, it just keeps giving and giving and giving. And the fact is, once it's all paid off, I can kind of live on it debt free for £2,000 a year in London. I mean, that's just, well, it just facilitates everything else. So it's, you can't put a price on any of that. The other thing you can't put a price on is you guys. By far the most amazing thing over the last year has been you guys. Obviously, the overplating was an end game for this boat, or certainly for me and this boat. And because of you, it wasn't. And those that did donate, I thank all of you for watching. For those that did donate, a lot of you just put it down to the fact that I've put out a lot of content and you like to watch it, and that for me is brilliant, and genuine. I really thank you for that, and so hopefully you feel like this channel will continue. I'll cruise as much of the inland waterways as I can, and show it all to you. And if you're a member of the channel, you'll see at the moment I'm putting all these video diaries up, these Narrowboat diaries, kind of every day of what it's like and what I'm doing, and I will repay you by carrying on doing this forever. So thank you. And whilst I'm on it, before the overplating, months before that, I couldn't have really done this without the help of 2 people specifically, but also my parents, but 2 people who went over and above everything I could have ever dreamed of. So Carol, I can't look at anything on this boat without it being somehow given by you. So thank you, my love. And to Simon, mate, I know you're in America at the moment, and I hope things are going very well for you, but you're an absolute legend. And when you're back, get yourself down to the boat and we'll go out on it. But to everyone else, thank you so much for watching. I hope you continue to. Until next time, bye-bye. Well, I can't believe this, coming into Berkhamsted on the Narrowboat. I've literally kind of been dreaming of this for 30 years. This is brilliant. I'm loving this.